Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It is time for me to do my 5-month update for my Lorac Mega Pro Pan That Palette Challenge, which I am doing for 2018. If you've missed any of the other updates, I will link them up here in a playlist for you to be able to go back and look at all of the progress. But before I can show you where my palette is now, I'm gonna go ahead and go back in time and show you what my palette looked like after 4 months of usage. And here's what my palette looks like after 5 months of usage. Okay, so first off, I don't have any new pan showing, but as you can see, I have made some movement on some other ones, which is kind of my goal for the past month. I really wanted to just sort of focus on some of my favorites and not necessarily push myself to try a bunch of new stuff. So as you can see, I was really going ham with both cashmere and sand. They really have the most usage on them as lid colors. And I was really using cashmere quite frequently with khaki, which is why the khaki shade has some progress happening here. I really like the look of cashmere and khaki together. I also was using sand, and I was using sand quite heavily with sepia and camel, but I really don't feel like you can see a lot of usage, and that's kind of the running theme with the upper row here, is that I feel like the mattes in this particular row are really hard pressed. It doesn't take much of like a dip into any of those pans and you get plenty of color, and because I'm so pale, I don't need a lot to build up a nice pigment on my eyes. So I really was hoping to have something noticeable between sepia or camel, but I feel like you can see that I'm like using the top layer of it, but it's really not making any kind of noticeable dent. I also had like a little bit of a nick with espresso, so don't mind the fact that I have progress in here. It's not because I actually tried, it's just because I nicked it accidentally with my nail. I also tried to use brown a little bit. I don't know if you can see any kind of noticeable usage there, but I have found that brown and stone are kind of finicky mattes in this palette. Unlike sepia and camel and khaki, which have a nice smooth blend to them, I find that stone and brown can be a little bit dry and patchy, which makes it difficult to work with. I am not quite convinced I will pan either one of those. I'm not saying I'll throw them away, but I feel like my progress, I don't really necessarily want to spend a ton of time with those. I'd rather work with some of the creamier mattes that are easier to play with. I did also use Orchid a couple of times, but again, the progress is so bare in there. Going into next month with this palette, I do still want to keep working on cashmere and sand. I really have been liking those colors. They're really easy go-to colors for me, and I've been liking a lot of the looks with them. I do want to lay off maybe on khaki though and try to pull in some other colors and hopefully get pan on one new shade for next month, or to at least widen some pan on either Dusty Rose or Smoky Topaz, but we'll see. Also, to give you an update on where I was at with my creams, I have been pulling out from the Touch Tones Kardashian palette, which is no longer in circulation, and I managed to finish up this shade completely, and as you can see here, I've hit pan on this one. I imagine this will be gone by next month, and then I'll go ahead and put this back into my makeup collection. I went through my like drugstore quads, duos, palettes per se, my collection from the drugstore, and I have 3 or 4 other cream colors, so my plan is to try to work through those over the course of the year before I start going into my higher end cream palettes. I did kind of the opposite last year. I was going into some of my high-end palettes, and I'd rather kind of reserve those to keep them as complete as possible in case I want to pan those, because it's unlikely that I'll probably pan a drugstore palette again because my money's worth is really in these higher palettes. But even though my progress I don't think is super substantial on the palette as a whole this month, I feel like I'm really starting to make some amazing dips in a few shades, and at the end of the year I really want to have as many shades as possible with pan on them, but also to have a bunch of shades that are actually used up. I will say, even though we're not too close to that just yet, but once vanilla, cashmere, and sand are gone, I'm pretty much losing some of my go-to lid shades that have helped me work on like this half of the palette, which will be problematic, but like I said, we're months away from that. Some of you have asked why I haven't used Opal, and I just want to touch on that really fast. It's not because I don't like the shade, it's just because I naturally have gravitated towards these three, and I kind of feel like I want to leave Opal as intact as possible. That way I'll be able to have at least one more lid shade to play with. I also don't, some of you noticed that I don't do anything with my inner corner, and I don't, and that is because throughout the day I tend to get, I don't know if it's like eye gunk or eye crusties, which probably sounds really gross, but I frequently have to clean out my tear duct area, and if I'm not really careful, I will actually like bring down black eyeliner and stuff. So I really don't put anything in my inner corner because I'm constantly fussing with that area of my eye throughout the day. So it's just easier that way. So I'm sure Opal will get used up. It just probably won't really be something I'm attracted to until more of these lid shades are gone. But that is it for me and this update. If you have any suggestions for this palette, let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you in the next video real soon. Bye.